In this video, let's take a deeper look at position time graphs and examine how they can tell us about the motion of an object. Let's use this diagram at the top that we've been using as we've talked about motion in one dimension. And I'm going to add a couple of things to that. One of the things we might look at, and I want you to bear in mind that this is still a diagram, it's still a picture of what we're doing. If we were to look down on our city as a bird flying overhead, we might see Commercial Avenue as this street that runs north and south through town that you students are all familiar with. So we could say this is Commercial Avenue. All right, it's just a street that runs north and south. And what we know is as we cross this street to the east and to the west, the convention here in town is that we divide our streets up into east first and west first and so on and so forth. So let's say we're down here and we've got a student that maybe lives on 9th Street. And so let's say they live on 9th Street. Then, we would have East 9th Street and West 9th Street. All right, and let's say for a moment that we have a student that lives over here on East 9th. Let me put a little image in there just to make it clear. Okay, so I've grabbed this image here. Let's say that we have a student here that lives in this little green house, and just to save time, we're going to say that this student is going to travel down 9th Street to West 9th Street to go visit their friend and stay a while and come home. Well, let's see what that looks like. Let me put the houses up here on top so that we can kind of follow along with our convention. Let's say that we live here in this house. And remember what we said we were going to do. We're going to take this house and we're going to leave our house. We're going to travel to our friend's house. We're going to stay a while and come home. Well, what would that look like if we graphed it? Once again, let me pull something up that might help make a little more sense out of this. I'm going to borrow this Cartesian plane here for just a moment because now we're going to move over into graphing, and I want to see how this might be confusing, but hopefully not. On a Cartesian plane, we know our y-axis runs in the middle, and so the top part of the y-axis above the x is positive, and as we go down below that, it's negative. And then our x-axis is positive to the right and negative to the left. But we're talking specifically about position time graphs. And in that situation, time has to always move in a positive direction. Time cannot run backwards, at least in the universe as we know it. So for now, we're going to make our graph this shape, which I want you to see this T shape is simply taking part of the Cartesian plane. So we're still going to be graphing position and time. Now, on the upper part, this will still be positive and negative, and time will run in the positive direction. So let's see what this might look like then as we take our car and we leave our, remember where we are. We're here at our house. Let's see. We're here at our house, and so we have some position. Now, if you look, we're on the positive side of the 0. To the left is the negative side. So where would that put us on this position time graph? If we're at some positive point and we're way over here to the right, I don't know. So maybe up here at this point on the graph, we could say this is where 9th Street is, or let's say our house number along 9th Street, rather, that would be more accurate to say. So whatever your house number is there. And let's take a look at what's going to happen as our car moves to the left. Well, we're on the positive side of Commercial Avenue, but we're moving to the left. So what will that tell us? That means we're going to have a slope that's going to move in the negative direction, doesn't it? Yes, if you think about it, our slope is going to be negative. So let's take a look at that and see how that would look. We start at some position, and let me change the color here. Let's just keep it black. That'll keep it simple. All right, so we start in some position, but our slope is negative. We're moving to a negative direction. And at some point, we're going to cross Commercial Avenue, won't we? So there where the graph is here is where we're crossing over Commercial Avenue. But we're going to keep moving at some constant velocity, just to keep this simple, until we arrive at our friend's house, and then we're going to stop and park. So if we look at what that might mean graphically, we're going to continue to cross Commercial, and I'm trying to maintain this slope in the same rate of change until we reach a point where we reach the friend's house, and then we stopped, didn't we? So position is not changing over time. We stay at our friend's house for some duration of time, and then what do? Well, we travel home, and let's say we travel home at some constant velocity, some constant rate of change until we get back to our house. And so what will that mean? So we travel again back home until our position ends up in the same place we started. So we've arrived home. We're going to say we've finished the drive there. So we went left at a negative velocity because we were going leftward. The velocity is positive on top as long as we were on the positive side, or rather maybe the east side of Commercial Avenue. And when we crossed Commercial Avenue, it's when we were at this point. All right, does that make some sense? And then we traveled on to our friend's house that was on West 9th Street. We stopped and we stayed a while, so our position didn't change over time. Then we got back in our car and we drove back toward home. Again, when we crossed Commercial, we crossed from the negative to the positive side, and we arrived back at our home. So I hope this graph helps illustrate some. So up here on top, just to remember, this is a diagram on top of our movement. We have a diagram also here that's a picture of what we did, but then down here we have a graph of our motion, a position time graph that tells us something about our movement. And I think that's probably enough for now. We'll take a closer look at some other situations in our next video.